Well, I don't know. It says excellent connection, but I've been fighting with it all evening, so I backed it down to 720. Hello, Tulloit. It's me and you. Dave and the mod. Am I frozen? It looks like it's not moving. No, there it goes, but it's a little slow. Live-ish. Do I have audio? My VU meter says I do, but I've been fiddling with that all week on and off with a variety of users and platforms and venues. Wonder what happens. Wonder how you pull off a cough button on this thing. I never even tried that. Let's just cough. Well, one person, 0 person, 500 persons, I can do it all the same. We'll just do the show as, what the heck? Oh, I got to change the framing on this thing. How do you change the framing on this? Oh my gosh, we don't want to do that. That's a mess. Okay, squeeze that down, squeeze that down. There we go. Now it's not looking up my nose, huh? Okay, we have audio. Thank you. I don't know what's going to happen with these other displays. When I worked on these all week, I planned for full HD, and now I've backed it down for performance sake to a lower number, so it'll probably have to be adjusted on the fly. Man, I am doing everything right on this thing, and apparently not. I got the not enough data to send smoothly. Okay, I can bump the volume a little bit. Check, 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 check. Testing, testing, testing. That's as high as I want to go because I'm starting to hear echo in here. Let me know if that's too boomy. Oh man, I can hear that. Forget it there. That's check, check. Okay. Best I can do. Well, it is Thursday evening, my time, 7 p.m. Central, and this is ADRAMADA, another Dave Rush Ask Me Anything digital alchemy. And we were making headway, getting the technology to work. Hey, look at that. We had 2 people in there for a second, then one disappeared. I can't do my own thumbs up. I'll have to do that later. I'm going to log in as somebody else and give myself a thumbs up. What a fun and interesting week this has been. I picked a project a week ago after last week's show, and I let it stew in my head for a couple of days and said, nah, I do not want to do that project yet. I do want to do the project, and we will in 2 weeks, because I've got it all written and ready to go. But I ran into an interesting piece of technology a week or 2 ago, and I started playing with it, and I said, oh my gosh, I have to share this. And it's a very interesting thing. What happens if I turn this down? There. Turn the internal monitors off, and then we don't get the echo. I posted today's project on a couple of different places, LinkedIn and Reddit and whatever. And on one of those forums, a person who claimed to be a dev for a competing product jumped in with criticism of the thing we're going to talk about today. And I just wrote him back, shortly, less than an hour ago, maybe a half hour, and said, my intent is not to take sides or to compare. I'm going to do some comparison, but I'm not going to say, hey, this is better, this is not, or whatever the case may be. I'm just here to show people how to install it, mention some of the characteristics and some of the pros and cons of both of your products, and then we're going to take a tour of this one. And then he responded to that saying, I didn't take it that way, except his previous post, his response to me, absolutely took it that way. So I don't know. I hope you're watching and, make your own judgment, see what we're trying to do here. But I'm not trying to disparage your product. I'm not trying to disparage their product, and I'm not trying to promote either of them. As I said in my post, we're doing Parrot operating system today. Its official name, Parrot Security Operating System, Parrot Sec OS. And we did this pretty much identical show with Kali Linux back in November of 2020. So this is, it's not to say this one's better or that one's worse. It's just, hey, that's how you install it there, and that's how it works and what it's for. And now we're going to do the same thing with Parrot Security OS. Well, I saw somebody else poke in now, and now they're gone. But if you tune in, say hi. That's all we need. And if you're watching this on the archive later, and we do get a fair amount of traffic on the archive later, hit that like button for me, please. It doesn't help me. I'm not monetizing it or anything like that. It just helps other people say, hey, if I want to learn about Parrot and installing it on Raspberry Pi, when they go into YouTube and look for Parrot and Raspberry Pi, the more videos that have both of those terms in there will pile up in the list, and then the higher up ones in the list are the ones that have the most likes. So that's the YouTube algorithm of late. Steve May, I don't. Steve and I are friends, and he's a busy guy, and I don't push the show on him and say, hey, turn up and don't turn up. Maybe I should do that just to get him in, but he's a professor. He's got a lot to do. Tomorrow's Friday. I don't know if he does testing on Friday, but yeah, when I was in college, I got a lot of tests on Fridays. So let's do a real introduction. This is ADRAMADA. I am David Rush, your tech from Texas. And I research and try all kinds of technology. This show is devoted to disseminating information about that technology and the use of it. In particular, we are generally interested in how the advancement of technology impacts our daily and long-term lives. Does this one qualify? Depends on the field you're in, right? So topics range from computer IT, security, energy, automation, AI, of course, big in the news the last couple of months. Music, movies, electric guitars, and electric cars. All points in between. It's open. I am not beholden to anybody on this show. I don't have a boss looking over my shoulder saying, don't say this or don't say that. Don't talk about this. Don't talk about that. I'm a reasonable guy. There are things I won't talk about. But we don't shy away from the tough topics that might be controversial and have some impact on a corporate environment. So I'm fair game for social topics, including religion, sex, politics, and the dreaded COVID. This is Thursday. It's March 23rd. And I'll just dive right into it because some of it's really easy. My first thing of the week, I usually check in with all of the viewers, all one of you. So maybe not. Tulawit, I don't know. The surprise appearance of one of our old friends the other day in the Bat Cave. I had another conversation with him textually on another channel, and as you know, he's coming out of hibernation. He can't fully escape yet, but he will. But one of the first fun messages I got from him says, hey, I'm going to be free enough in very short order that I can join you on the show. And woohoo! Man, that just got my blood pumping. So the second that's a possibility or as soon as it's allowed by all of the powers that be, you can expect our favorite co-host. Wow. Very exciting on that. Tech news of the week. Nothing. I just didn't find anything interesting enough that I thought I would share with you. There's news of the week, but it just wasn't that fun. So I'm going to do something. Yeah, exactly. Sweet. My next area that I usually go to is anything interesting that happened during the week. Anything that happened to me, anything that's not tech news related. There's lots of good stuff. I'm going to make this all me today. We did a show last Thursday, as you know, as perhaps some of you are seeing this on the archive. And every night for the last couple of weeks, I have been prepping after work for a very big gig. Some of you are joining us who weren't with us when I did my old show, Drama. So that's why this is Andromeda, ADRAMADA, sorry. Even I can't remember my own name. So over time, I will fill in my personal history and background, he says as he stammered, my. I got a side gig, a side hustle, that's the term, right? So I rent party gear, stages, uplights, dance lights, pipe and drape, all kinds of goodies in there, musical instruments, whatever. And last April, I got a call from a gent who needed some pipe and drape. It's a very, very simple job. I love pipe and drape. I can stuff it in a Jeep. I don't have to take trailers. Go in, they set up pretty quickly. And as I looked at what he was doing, I always bring extra supplies. And I'm an idiot. I'm not a good businessman. You know what? You need more. Here, I just happen to have more. Let's set this up and do this and change that. No, I'm not going to charge you anything extra. And so be it. So let me tell you a little bit about the guy and that gig, and then what happened to get me going all week, for 2 weeks, for the last couple of weeks. The gentleman I'm working with, his name is Alberto Mayagaitia. If you are from Mexico or have any kind of strong connection to Mexico, particularly about 50 years ago, you will recognize that name, Alberto Mayagaitia. I just call him Alberto. I never pronounce his last name. He was a child star on a series in Mexico City, I think is where he was based at the time. And you know how we are here up north about our child stars. We know them, and we're always curious what happens to them and what they do with their lives. And sometimes they continue to be actors, like, Andy Griffith's show. Who am I talking about? And his brother Clint. Who's Opie? Ron Howard. Thank you. All right, so child star. Continued in the business forever, became a very famous and qualified director. And then you look at some of the other ones who are still around by name, and, you know, they do grocery store openings. I'm thinking of the kid who played Eddie on the Munsters, Wednesday and Pugsley from Addams Family, kind of sticking with the genre there. And I understand Wednesday just passed, like very recently, the last couple of weeks. And, you know, some of them go on and they sell cars, and some become attorneys. Blossom, right? Blossom became a neurobiologist and then went back into acting. So Alberto, he moved into one career, which he still does, but he has a very strong following. Everybody loves him, especially those who remember him. And he's a very strong Christian. And so some years ago, he took inspiration. He took a book that was written, and he asked permission of the author to create a one-man play out of it. It's called Mi Cristo Roto. It's all in Spanish. He's from Mexico City, though he lives here in the States. Actually lives very, very close to me. And it's an amazing play. I won't sell you on it right now. If you read Spanish, it's available on DVD. His play is, and the book is available. Mi Cristo, no H, Roto. It means my broken Christ. And in short, it's the story of a priest who has a broken statue of Christ, which he passes on to people in need, and they hold on to it for as long as their need exists. Sometimes it's until they're cured. Sometimes it's till they pass away, and then it passes to him and it goes on to somebody else. And the whole story behind that, it's a fascinating and wonderful story. Really enjoy it. Opie, yep. So we did this gig. I did pipe and drape for him, and he did this thing where I met him last April. He did it in a big Catholic church with a large Hispanic population. Kind of fits the bill there. Though I was there and I don't speak much Spanish, I was able to follow along very well. It's such a nice play. And he takes a lot of equipment to pull this off. Stage lights, PA systems, lots and lots of other goodies. Well, he contacted me about 6 weeks ago and said, coming up to Houston again, we're going to do the play again, and I need you to provide pipe and drape and stages. Okay. Done, quickie, easy. And then more emails. Wait a minute. I'm going to need this too. And in the end, I did everything except a projector, a screen, and his PA system. So we did the stages, we did the stage lights, we did all kinds of control systems, we did up lights and pipe and drape and. So I'm going to share with you a little slideshow. Hey, we got somebody else, new face in the crowd. Do say hi. So just to show you what I did last Saturday, and I had to prep every night for 2 weeks, getting all this stuff laid out, get the right stuff, load the trailers. My kid was in town from on spring break. I hired him, said, look, dude, I'm going to need you. And it's a huge setup. And I guess there's the fun part of the story. We're getting all toward the end, and I said, okay, well, how long do I have to set this up? Set up like this takes about 5 hours. He said, 2? Not possible. I'll come in, I'll start setting up, I'll work for 2 hours, but we may still be setting up when you open the curtains. All right, now what about teardown? 45 minutes. 45 minutes? Are you kidding? This is a minimum hour and a half. So I did it, and we got lucky. He turned up a little more than an hour early before show and said, hey, can we start early? Yes. Oh, wonderful. 3 hours. I got the kid, I got the wife, I got me. We can pull this off in 3 hours. All right. And then for shutdown, we had a plan in place ready to go. It said, look, the deal is you got to be out of the building and all your gear in 45 minutes. So our plan was to haul everything outside in that 45 minutes and then get it in the trailers and get it all loaded up and things like that. We were so good. We were so efficient. We pretty much got it out and in the trailers in 45 minutes. It took a little bit longer than that. And then I sent my crew home and I stuck around and helped them load up theirs because they were in the same boat and they had to drag a lot of stuff. Okay, so let me share with you a slideshow. Zip, zip, zip. That looks like full screen. I'm going to wait till it pops up on my live feed here, which is not live. I'm looking at my live feed. It looks like a full screen. But again, we changed resolutions on this thing. Yay, okay. All right, so this was initial stages. You'll pardon the pun. So we got a stage and skirting and stairs and some of the pipe and drape set up. And you can see over here, here's a rack of stage lights. Yeah. There we go. There's my controls. This is the stage doing some testing on it with these colored up lights. I have a control for them so that they can change to any color in the world. Red, green, blue, orange, white, or any mixture of them, with each color being 255 degrees. It's an 8-bit thing worth of color. So this is just all blue, and you can't tell it very well because of A, the photography, and B, because all the house lights are on. A little farther back, same thing. So here's some pipe and drape. It's dark when the show starts, so you can't see through the pipe and drape here. This is Alberto. And this is basically a test of some of this uplighting. So that was all on one specialized controller. Yeah, similar, same. This is the actual play. We're getting to the end. This is a mix of those light colors. And there's a big spotlight. Can I get that? Yeah. See if I can shrink this down a little bit. Get the whole thing in frame. All right, close enough. So there's this big spotlight back here just behind this chair, kind of sunk down in, shines back on him, gives him sort of a halo look, and there's a big, beautiful shadow up on the ceiling. Not my idea. That's something that they do, but they've got this light, and they said, hey, can we control that too? And that became the whole thing, right? I bring lots of extra stuff, and thank goodness. And usually I just throw it in, but these guys, they got no problem saying, hey, you got more stuff? Can you help us set this up and make this happen? This little guy, hard to see right here. This is a lighted prop. It's got internal lighting, and we got our equipment all fired up and got that thing working. This poor guy is just holding his arms out forever to do this. So we're looking at another rack of lights here. There's 4 600-watt lights here, and another one with a gobo in there, it's called. I'm not going to get into what a gobo is. This is me just walking around the back of the stage, or the audience, taking pictures. So we turned the colors red or purple or whatever color that, I don't know, the guy was running lights. I just gave him colors. More setup. That's his production manager, Sergio. He lives in Veracruz. Love Sergio. So this is the ones that shine on the right side of the stage as you're looking at the stage. Stage right. There's the ones on stage left. And it's Alberto, move a little bit to the left, and we'll adjust this light. Now move more to the left. Now move forward. So all that fun stuff. That's what takes so much time. And that's it. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit of something that we do. And I am almost done with that gig. I am thrilled to say, because the kid will graduate, and that was the only reason this gig exists, was to help pay tuition. Okay, there we go. I'm working on it. Close enough. So we're doing Parrot. And that's why I wore a Kali shirt. I don't have a Parrot shirt, but they're competing products. All right, how are we doing here? 23, plenty of time. Anybody turn up after all this? 2 people. I'm probably one of them. Other stories of the week. 2 of them. Why is that moving? Oh, okay, because it's supposed to. Dental adventures. Everybody watching this show live on the archive later is a better person than I historically when it comes to dental hygiene. I am the king, the true master of the universe. Hey, that's cool. I can fix that. That's good to know. Can I change that right now? Oh, wow. Okay, I got a way to fix the techno problem on here later. Stream settings, analytics. Okay. I don't know what I just did there. Something's not bad. Anyways, dental. So I am just the absolute master of the universe when it comes to dentophobic. Somewhere around 10 years old, some sadist of a dentist just committed atrocities on my mouth for a single cavity. It was almost the single most painful experience of my life. I still remember every minute of it. And there I am screaming and crying and kicking and wielding axes, and he insults me about the whole thing. Don't be such a wuss. So, hated it. So I dutifully went to the dentist as a child forever, but it was always a terror experience. And then it kind of dropped off. And after that, for many years between dental visits, and about the only dental visit I've done in the last couple decades was for a root canal. I had a bad tooth and had to go in. So I have also never had dental insurance. So if I got money in my hand, it's Dentist? No. Horrible, terrible experience. Raspberry Pi? Yes. Well, I've been getting healthy and fixing everything over the COVID home thing, and I now have dental insurance. So it was time to buck up. My wife says, the dentist we go to, they're wonderful. It's a lovely, all right, so fine. So yesterday, first trip to the dentist in decades, since my 20-year-old root canal. And I know I'm not unaware of the appearance of my teeth, and I've always wanted the Hollywood smile. So it was buck up and go in. And what a fantastic, wonderful, lovely experience. They weren't judgmental, as I certainly would be. In fact, I'm there not just because of this, but because that same tooth that got root canal 20 years ago has a new symptom. And I said, well, I got to go get this taken care of. And, while you're here, why don't you do everything? Do a cleaning and all that. So I'll tell you what, let's see how this eval goes. And it was wonderful. It was pleasant. It was fantastic. I was in there for 2 hours. And they didn't even do a cleaning. It was just total evaluation and a lot of pictures and a lot of stuff and a little bit of poking here and there. But even some deep poking, and it wasn't horribly painful. And they said, you want a cleaning? I said, heck yeah, I do. This is fun, and I got people to pay for it. When can I get in? Tomorrow. Cool. So this morning I went in and killed an hour and a half in the chair doing half my teeth. Such a big job. And couple weeks, because dentists are booked out forever. But a couple weeks I'm going in doing the other half. And then I get to go to the oral surgeon, and he's going to extract this one and put in a post for a new one and put a replacement in. And then a little straightening, some braces or the invisible ones or whatever they're calling that, and turn them all into Hollywood white. And 12 to 18 months, or 12 to 15 months, they say, I'm going to look like all the women. It's all women in there. So we all look like Julia Roberts. And I can't think of a big, bright, white, toothy smile guy. And when I think of big, toothy guys, I think of Gary Busey. But those are just scary old teeth. So anyways, wow, dentistry has changed a lot in 20 years and in 30 years and in 40 years and in 50 years. And now I know why it doesn't bother anybody to go to the dentist. I'm looking forward to almost every appointment. The dental surgeon, we'll see. I'm somewhat terrified about that. But when I got the root canal, even that was not unpleasant. It wasn't unpleasant. So they do amazing things. They hit you with 3 levels of painkiller, and that doesn't include, if you want, total knockout. So I am just excited. I am now a total dental fan. And the last, unrelated to anything, I am a student of linguistics, and something tickled my fancy today that just bothered me. We were joking at the dentist office, because that's how I handle nervousness. I'm not just an intentionally funny guy sometimes. That's my defense mechanism for just about everything. Sadness, fear, whatever. Dave cracks a joke. And so we were talking about applesauce. Go ahead, do whatever you want. I'm a fan of applesauce, something along those lines. And then I started thinking about applesauce later. How do you make applesauce? Well, you take apples, you boil them, you mash them. There you go, applesauce. That bothered me because if you do the same thing to potatoes, you boil them, you mash them, and by the way, potatoes in French are pommes de terre, apples of the earth, so it's apples. Shouldn't the result be called potato sauce? Or shouldn't whatever we did to apples become mashed apples? So then I started looking. Is there such a beast as potato sauce? Not in the U.S. However, there is a Czech dish. Now, there's stuff. That's not true. There is potato sauce in the U.S., but it has nothing to do with mashed potatoes. It's basically some kind of mayonnaise and sour cream mixture that's used on top of baked potatoes or something like that. But in the Czech Republic, there is this dish called potato sauce. and it's basically it's a mashed potatoes. It's got all kinds of other goodies in it, flavorings and eggs and things like that, but you serve it like mashed potatoes. So there we go. Tuluwit, your next culinary adventure. It's just water today. I didn't make tea. Well, all right. We are halfway through show. Huge amount of questions. I'm ignoring them for now. Tuluwit, you were correct. I did miss your question on the other show yesterday. I see a Tuluwit question. Usually I read everything that you post, but sometimes I don't. And when I saw, okay, it's a long post, it's a long Tuluwit joke, off I go. And moved on to somebody else. And then when you said, hey, did you miss my question? I went back and looked at that and got that on the back channel to Mike. So apologies for missing that. Well, we're going to talk about Parrot Security Operating System, Parrot Sec OS, and getting it up and running on the Raspberry Pi. What we want to do first is to get a term out of the way, and the term is DE, or Desktop Environment. You've heard it forever. Maybe some of you watching on archive have done this in the past. We are definitely going to do this. Other than mayo is evil, huh? Yeah, I didn't. You know what? People mix mayo with sour cream and it becomes a different animal. I'm not a big mayo fan myself, but I'm willing to give it a try. Anyways, desktop environment. So everybody knows that Windows has a fixed desktop environment. It's going to look and act the same all the time. Windows 11 doesn't change where it puts the well, we'll call it a dock. They don't call it that. It did change from Windows 10, which did change from Windows 7. But if it's Windows 11, I know where everything is. If it's Windows 10, I know where everything is. My wife is traveling right now. She called with a problem the other day, early in the morning. And I know her system. She's running a Win 10 system. So I want you to click here. Now type this, go do that, go drag this from here to there. Everything is exactly where I know it is because it's Windows and nothing ever changes. The same is true for Mac, for any given version. But Linux isn't like that. There are dozens of desktop environments, and we're not going to get into all of them today. We will do desktop. But the really cool thing about the DEs in Linux is you don't have to stick with one. When you install a version of Linux and it happens to come with a desktop environment, cool. And if you like it, keep it. And if you don't like it, there are so many choices out there. Here's a handful. Genome, spelled Gnome. KDE or KDE Plasma. XFCE. Mate, spelled Mate. Pixel, and tons of others. And this kind of matters a little bit today and more next week. So I just wanted to get those terms out of the way. So when I talk about a DE, we know that we're talking about a particular desktop environment. So Parrot OS is often compared to Kali Linux. So let's see where that comparison starts and ends. Kali is a product that's designed to do one thing, and one thing very well. It is a penetration testing set of utilities. Hola, Patricia Grace. Husband's brother was in hospital. Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope you didn't race back for this. Goodness gracious, we're on archive. We will add him to the prayer list. That works, kids. Prayer lists work. Friend of mine, co-worker, granddaughter, sick as a dog few weeks ago and many continents away. So we talked for a little while, and that person not particularly interested in my faith or my prayers, but tough. That doesn't get you off my prayer list. And kid went home last night. So, and there was lots of other people praying as well. You can expect. Good. I'm so pleased. I'm glad he's all right. All right, so Kali is this operating system. It's this Linux distro that's designed to do one thing very well: penetration testing and related things. So we got pen testing, we got computer forensics, reverse engineering, mitigation, lots of other goods. That's its focus. That's its purpose in life. It's raison d'etre. Parrot can do that stuff. But it comes in 2 general flavors, and each of those general flavors have a handful of sub flavors. So first of all, there's the home version. Doesn't mean it's not for commercial use. It's just called home. And it's designed to be a secure desktop user-oriented distro. Doesn't include all of those cool pen testing type things. It's just really, really secure. All the buttons and bells and whistles to help keep things private and secure and protected are built into the home version. The security version has most of that privacy stuff in there, but it also works for a living like Kali. So it does pen testing and computer forensics and reverse engineering and all that other good stuff. So it's an alternative to Kali Linux. And for those of you who participate in the Total Seminars Discord channel, you'll see that we have channels both for Kali and for Parrot. And I was talking to Steve Nicholson yesterday, some of you know from other shows. Steve says Parrot is his go-to. So let's find out why. Some things about Kali. First of all, it defaults on Raspberry Pi to the Genome desktop environment. I was going to say experience. I had Jimi Hendrix in my head for a second. That's going to matter next week. Different DEs are going to require different kinds of customizations, he said, when you're messing around with VNC. It is a very customizable system. In its background, in its core, in its heart, it's very crude, but you can make it so much better. You can make it look better and act better, and you can add more things to it. You can take away unnecessary things. It's highly customizable. It's open source, it's free, and it uses a fairly stock Debian kernel. It's got 600 plus penetration testing tools. Wow. You know what? Parrot's got more. And we've seen that before. We've done Kali exercises in here. I beg your pardon. Here comes the hiccups. We've done Kali before where, this utility isn't in there. We're going to have to add this utility to it. So most of those things that you could, would, should add to Kali, are already in Parrot. And I'm not saying Parrot's better, just a fact. One thing that Kali does very well that Parrot doesn't do, it's got a lot of multi-language support for its menus and things like that. Kali's got excellent wireless device support. We did that as a lab quite some time ago. I didn't put the date down on this. It was after the November 20 show when we talked about how to install it. We did cracking Wi-Fi passwords, and it worked perfectly natively without any patches or drivers or anything like that with the Wi-Fi interface built into the Raspberry Pi. So that was really wonderful and powerful. Parrot OS features, also free and open source. It's lightweight. We say that for 2 reasons. First of all, it takes up less memory than Kali. It takes up less hard drive space. In fact, it takes up way less memory. So let's compare the two just a little bit. They're both used heavily in testing cybersecurity penetration by most professionals. It's a subjective, analytical comparison. There's a lot of personal taste and choice in here. So a few parameters to take a pick at. Some similarities. For penetration testing, all operating systems are great. Okay, both of them. Both OSs support 32 and 64-bit architectures, and they both include 64-bit architecture for ARM architecture, such as the Raspberry Pi. They both have Cloud VPN specs built in for Debian. Their big differences: hardware requirements, Kali Linux. Here's the biggie. If you're going to run it on an x86 system or an AMD system, you need graphical acceleration. That's not the case. They pulled that out for the Raspberry Pi version. But if you want full-blown, really cool Kali Linux on ARM86, it's got to do video acceleration. And it does. All your video cards can support that. Kali needs 20 gigs minimum of space for the install on your storage device. It needs a minimum of 1 gig of RAM and a dual core processor of at least gigahertz. Parrot, graphical acceleration not required for any of the platforms. Only 16 gigs of storage space. And are you ready for this? 1 gig of RAM for Kali, 320 meg of RAM for Parrot. That's just cool. Same processor. They got a lot of different look and feel. The default desktop environment for Parrot is Mate, M-A-T-E. And so that really kind of mattered when it came for me setting up VNC. And I'm not going to show you how to set up VNC today, but I will in a week or so. There we go. All right, they're written down. So, hacking tools, which is better? That's subjective, but Parrot is generally by professionals considered to be the clear winner. They've got more utilities, even though they take up less space. They've got a very custom, both of them have well customizable desktop interfaces. All right, I don't need to read the rest of that junk. Performance, Kali lags when we talk about results compared to Parrot. Is there a best? A lot of people think so. But as you would expect, it's something of a holy war. I am not an experienced Parrot user, but in all the research that I've done over the last week or two, I'm going to do a lot more playing with it, and maybe I'll set up a pair of Pis and do the same things on both of them and really do some head-to-head stuff. So if you're going to set up Parrot on a Raspberry Pi, you're going to need a Raspberry Pi. It'll work with a gigabit, with a gig of RAM, but they recommend for best performance a Raspberry Pi 4 with 4 gigs of RAM. Your micro SD card, it'll work with 16 gigs and leave you space, but it only leaves 3 gigs of space. So if you're going to be downloading a lot of data that you're collecting, extracting, I wouldn't think any smaller than a 32 gig card. The system we're going to demo today is on a 16 gig. Of course, the usuals: power supply, optional enclosure, optional keyboard, monitor, and HDMI cable, because it comes with a built-in SSH client or a server ready to go. You're going to need a computer with a USD burner, micro SD. You're going to need an installation and internet connection. Software. On the machine that you're going to use to burn the image, you need 2 things. One, the image itself. You get that from parrotsec.org. I didn't make a slide for that. Parrotsec, parrotsec.org. There's a download page. And I did make a slide for that. I'm going to show you that in a second. And you need Balena Etcher. We've used that in the past in other shows. You get it from Balena, Balena.io. I always call it Balana. I get that Star Trek thing in my head. All right, so let's do a little show and tell here. The image slider goes up and up. All right, so these are some screenshots of the desktop. And here is the download page at parrotsec.org. As you click each one of these things, it will open up a menu on the right-hand side. So we click Raspberry Pi over here, and there's a handful of images that you can download. You want to download the security image. The process is really simple. I didn't detail it here. I'm not going to step-by-step through it. We've done this a million times on other shows in the past. Hey, VIP. Imagine kicking her out. What am I missing there? Thank you, Tullowit. Okay, I don't have to look. You got it under control. I am so glad you're a mod. Thank you, bud. So you download the image. You take a micro SD card, put it in your micro SD burner, and plug it into your computer where the image is. You download Balena Etcher. And it's all pretty self-explanatory. I think I made a slide on that. Yes, I did. There we go. So there's Balena Etcher. So you start by clicking Flash from File, and you browse for the image file that you downloaded. Then you select the micro SD card, select target, and then you hit the big flash button and wait it out. It takes around 10 or 12 minutes for that one to burn, because it burns and then it does a verify. And then you're done. Now you move it to your Raspberry Pi, which is powered off. Put it in the micro SD card. You power it up. It will boot. It will automatically max size the space. And it doesn't have to reboot. It's a very smart resizer. And then it's ready to go, except it's out of date. So let's go over to the screen and keyboard. Let's VNC to it. Oh, did I launch VNC? No, not yet. So VNC. Oh, not there. It's here. Click. Double click. This is a little piece of magic, I think. At least it was last time I did this. It automatically got picked up when I launched it. Did I double click that effectively? Did I miss it? You're such a jerk. Let's try that again. Okay, there we go. Now it's going to run. Okay, so this is the VNC viewer that comes with Tiger VNC. We put the IP address in of my Parrot server, :5901. I'm running it on port 5901. We hit connect. We plug the VNC password into it. And up she goes. I got to watch this fill the screen and get it sized correctly. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, we're going to have to go up to that point at some point. But this is the Parrot operating system running the Mate interface. Now, why do we care that it's the Mate interface? Here's why. Mate looks like the Fruit operating system. I know that you're going to watch this Andre de Gooiert, Andre the Dutch guy, and you're going to see this. And you pointed this out. I did a still of this shot on the Discord server. And so you saw that and you pointed it out. Cool bananas. All right, so we're going to tour this for just about 5 minutes. You can see this. It does some things that Kali does. Okay, it's got a menu up here of applications. We'll get into that. This is a desktop way of getting to the file system. Here we've got some neat little system setup controls here. That's done a little differently in Kali. These are quick launch icons. Over here we've got CPU utilization. We've got memory utilization, and we have network utilization, sound and Ethernet connection information. Not much on the desktop. So over here under applications, this is a privacy system. So there is a default application called Anon Surf. It's a graphical user interface program that allows you to anonymize any surfing that you're doing with any of the browsers that you use in here. And there's a secure file deleter. That doesn't happen natively in most Linux systems. There's some real basic Office productivity stuff here. They don't include LibreOffice. You can always add that. It's a Debian-based kernel, so you can use Debian stuff that's in the repository. You can go to the command line and sudo apt install LibreOffice or whatever you like. Internet tools, they default to Firefox, and there's a BitTorrent, qBitTorrent. Some graphic management stuff, and here's where you can control your desktop colors. Of course, you can change backgrounds and wallpapers and things like that. There's an image viewer built into here. Your sound and video works fine. Uses pulse audio, which is becoming old. The world is moving away from pulse audio to pipes. Yeah. It's got a built-in VLC. Before we get to that, well, here, let's do this. Because I got something coming up here. Hey, there's one game in there, Xboard. And then we start the pen testing utilities. And these are by no means all of them, right? So we go into one of these, we go over here, there's a pile of them, and another pile, and another pile. By the time you get through them all, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, well over 600 on here. And that's where the magic and fun, that's what this thing is really all about. Just Genie is their only built-in programming IDE. After you do your initial boot up and your install, this is actually the first place you want to go. Now, if you're going to connect to it with SSH instead of either a real keyboard, mouse, and monitor, or connecting to it with VNC, if you're going to use the command line interface, you can do the usual sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade with a yes in it. Or if you've got the graphical utility at your disposal, mate, lots of mate controls in here. External, where'd you go? Hey, BleachBit, anybody know where that is? And BleachBit is root, where that was in the news? I'm not going to do it. There we go. So here you'll do your check for updates. I'm not going to do this here because I haven't run it in a week, and oh, what the heck. I'm good on time. It's only 52. System upgrade, you want to 10 packages? Sure, let's do it. We put the secure password in here because it makes security on everything. Most of my Pis don't prompt you for a password here. I typed it in like all... What? Oh, password is Parrot. The default account is Pi. The default password is Parrot. P-A-R-R-O-T. There we go. Buzz, buzz, grind, grind. And we can keep looking here while it's doing its thing. So those were system tools. Then we get system services, like setting up a web server. You can it's got a built-in Apache web server. It's got a built-in Nginx web server already up and running, even though it doesn't take as much memory by far and away as Kali. And those are important tools that you use in pen testing sometimes. So we can start them, we can stop them, we can restart them. They're ready to go. Lots of cool accessories. I use that screenshotter, the built-in screenshotter, to take those stills. And then use universal access. I haven't gotten into what these are. I don't know. Enter text without a keyboard. Oh, okay. So these are assistive devices. Flexible on-screen keyboard. And enter text without a keyboard. You use your mouse for that. All right, let me show you one more thing here while that update is going on. Down here at the bottom, this is a feature of Mate. You see what we saw in the applications, a menu of about so much stuff. Now, going to show you this menu. There we go. It's a much bigger menu here. A lot of the same stuff, but a lot of other stuff. So like some of the other things you find on the top dock, the places, the systems, control center here, a lot of them, a lot of the things that we saw in some of the other menus have been moved and put into their own special submenus here. And some of them are the same. So we had 4 different items in sound and video when we got it from applications up above. Now there's 2 here, and then there's 2 elsewhere. Lots more system services in here. Start a MySQL MariaDB server. Some other databases in there. Of course, everybody's favorite HTOP. Well, that's a long update. I'm glad I did it. What's in the control center? So a little fruit look-alike, right? That's kind of looks like the settings that you'll find in a Mac system. So you can change the desktop on this thing. Lots of people change to KDE because it automatically ships with all the support files necessary to do either Mate or KDE Plasma. But if you want to install Genome or something like that, you certainly can. How close to done are we here? We're at 56. I'll hang out there for a minute. And move that back down into mainframe. So that's Parrot in a nutshell. It's easy to install. You just download the image from parrotsec.org. You want the Raspberry Pi security image. Use Balena, I'm going to say it right this time, Etcher to burn it to your micro SD card. Pop it in your Raspberry Pi and boot it up. Run the update upgrade, and you are ready to play. Now, if you want to do VNC, we're going to do that next week because that's what I like. All right, let's see who popped up here. So SSH is built in. We did the VNC connection. The desktop environment is Mate. We can use menus to update, which we did. We toured the OS. So summary, we installed Parrot Security OS, Security Edition on a Raspberry Pi 4B with 4 gigs. We explored the Mate desktop environment and some of the default installed features of Mate. Next week, we'll install a VNC server on the host. It's not a long project, but it sure was for me. For you, it's going to take 3 to 5 minutes. For me, it took hours because I've never played with the Mate interface and I had to figure out how to get VNC to work with that desktop environment, and it's not on their site. It's not on in any of the support things. Nobody seems to have ever done that, or it's so obvious to everybody else in the world that it just wasn't me. But I've got it written up, and when I get done with the show next week, I'm going to post that up there as a simple tutorial. Webcam, let's come back up to me. We'll leave that thing run silently in the background. It's only at 33%. He's going to go for a while. All right, anything going on in chat that I care about? Anybody new turn up? Yeah, our first spammer, right? We're 5 shows into it, 4 successful ones. You deleted the message. You didn't feel the need to ban him altogether, so that's cool. But you have total control. If you decide to totally destroy somebody, I like that it's there. I'm going to go look him up later here. VIP Scream. Imagine kicking. Oh, that's so weird. So random, as they used to say. Eye of Mate. Patricia, I think I've allowed too many sources in my Linux distro. That can pile up on you. But they're manually editable. You can go to the sources .list.d. They vary depending on the distro you're using. Last update nearly filled the drive. 28 system. Oh yeah, that's one of the other really great things about Parrot. Works wonderful on older system, lower performing systems. It's a great thing, again, because of the low RAM requirements. Only needs a gigahertz and dual core CPU, and doesn't need much. Only 384 megs of RAM and 16 gigs of disk. 2008 system, 16 gigs of storage. Yeah, that's you're about out of space, but an external goes really well. Okay, did that finish? Yeah. Nice. All right, so I'm going to close this VNC viewer. Does it have Wine pre-installed? I just closed it. I don't know. Do I want to bring it back up? No, we're on the hour. It's time to go. So guys, I know not too many people here live. It'll get better. I hope you found this show interesting. I hope you find next week's interesting. And I've got the show written for the week after that because I've got so much work that's starting to pile up at work. Lots of fun projects. It's one of those nice times when I'm very busy and I don't dread it. I got stuff that I'm really deeply involved with and just having a great time. So we're going to shut things down. We got the tech issues pre-resolved before they happen. And with that then, I wish you all a great rest of the week. Take care of each other. Take serious steps to stay healthy. And if at all possible, call or visit your parents. And never forget, technology is great, but the greatest resource we have are you and I. And with that, good night. I'll see you on ADRAMADA next week on Thursday and the AMAs next week. Until then, I am out of here. Later, kids.